We don't want
Yeah,
to
let's
skip
talk about
that
this. The
line.
second topic. Second topic.
Second
Let's move on
topic.
to the
Let's
second
do it right
topic.
now.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop 2 links in chat from videos that I perused from CIG about this topic. And so that way you can kind of see where we're coming from. But the second topic, and it has I always enjoy coming up with clever names for our topics, but NPC crew, asset or liability. Because there has always
I like
been
this.
a lot of discussion within the community about hiring NPC crew in order to crew your ship. And I don't need to make friends, or I hate playing with other players. I'm just going to hire NPC crew to crew my ship. And so we thought we would talk about, because that it's always interesting because those remarks come from people, and I'm like, oh, you have not spent much time managing people, and there's probably a good reason for it. But
Like Attira.
it's
I've not spent a lot of time managing people.
Like I was trained early on in the Navy as a senior enlisted. Officers manage binders. Chiefs, senior enlisted, manage people.
Whoa, boy.
He's laughing because it's true. True, hence funny. That's why it's really funny.
I think that depends on the officer, but
yeah.
I know. I'm picking at you. It's
I
not.
love
I
that.
actually don't believe the truth of it. You want to know? It's funny though because that was a senior officer who taught me that.
Oh, manages
They
binders.
would
That's
repeat
good.
it. They would repeat it on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, sometimes to junior officers when they'd be like, Have you talked to your chief yet? When you're talking to me about which people are going to do what? Because that's not your job. Your job is to manage a binder. Your chief will manage the people. So don't come to me unless you talk to your chief. Anyway, that's a separate conversation. But
There you
that's
go.
why that's where that joke came
Navy
from.
leadership. We would call that in the Army NCO business.
NCO
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. And those of us who are active leaders say,
I didn't mean to imply
too,
you're not an active leader.
so.
It was a joke. It was a shameless
I'm not an active
shameless
leader.
joke at your
I'm a liaison officer.
Oh.
Okay.
I
All
have-
right. Well,
I
now
have-
you've just gone. Now you've
I
just
have
gone
the-
and admitted it. All right. I
I
got
have
it now.
the best. I have the best job in the Army right now.
Yeah, you're a people person.
I am a people person. Can't you tell?
Yeah, I know. I
Come
take
on.
the plans from the customers and I take them to the engineers.
I
All
take
right.
them to the engineers.
Yeah, I
I'm a
got it. I
people
know exactly what
person.
you do now. When you say you're a liaison officer, yeah, I
Oh,
know
God,
exactly what you do now.
That's my retirement gig, baby. Done.
I'm
Yeah,
going to
I
clip.
understand.
I'm going to clip that from YouTube and download it and turn it into a GIF, and that way it's ready to play in my Discord whenever Attira
Oh.
comes in.
I'm
He's
a
a
people
people person.
person.
But getting back to NPC crew, there seems to be a lot of, and CIG obviously hasn't done a whole lot to manage expectations appropriately about NPC or to NPC crew and how to inform us about what that will be like. Because just like everything else, it's going to be gamified to an extent. But if you have
Yep.
NPC crew and you are the captain of the ship and they work for you, you are going to have to manage them, and there's going to be some gamification for that and how that will end up working. They aren't just mindless automatons that know exactly what you want them to do at any given moment. So starting off the conversation kind of like how we started off with modularity, and I'm going to start with you, Attira. What do you think the costs, cost, not just cost but costs, plural, will be as far as having NPC crew members? What things will you have to consider as the leader or the manager of this operation in order to?
Remember what I told you was going to happen?
But it depends.
I gotta step away.
Oh, okay.
So Nightcom, take it
Attira.
over.
Yeah, or Nightcom, you tell me what do you think the costs of NPC crew are going to entail?
I'm gonna take an example from kind of one of a recent game that I played. I'll plug it a little bit because it's a good game. If you guys haven't played BattleTech, the latest BattleTech came out a few years ago. But one of the things is you have to recruit mech warrior pilots, and when you recruit those mech warrior pilots, they come with certain certain stats, and they also come with certain liabilities. And you'll find that like some of the more unstable ones will just do random stuff to you, cost you something, whether it's money, whether it's time. Because ultimately, I like the idea if you're going to hire AI NPCs, and I hope they go this way. I'm really looking forward to the next Tony Z talk. I don't know what's going on in that world, but he talked about attributes. Right, not, attributes is I don't want to confuse it with the new skill system they're coming up with, but the like morality and like aggression versus pacification and stuff like that in terms of what they are. I think you'll have to manage the attributes of the AI that you hire. But you want to know the real truth. I mean, like that's a long ways off, in my opinion. I think people need to get real. Nice, nice.
That's the
Really,
thing that he warned us
That's
about
the
is
thing I warned you about. I was gonna
I
have to run and sign
yeah,
for.
I'm super jealous about it. Am I visibly green on screen? Did I actually change colors? There's a delay, so I don't know if it's happened yet.
let me see if I can figure out how to do
Oh,
that.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure it'll be a thing. Yeah, like you won't like me when I'm angry.
You won't like me.
Um, uh, I lost my train of thought.
The
Oh,
Credible
so
Hulk.
yeah. So just to be real with everybody, I don't think that AI and coming anytime soon. And honestly, I don't think players should plan to fill them out for critical roles in their ship.
No, no, no,
They're
no, no, no.
Hmm.
they're you want thinking, capable individuals that know how to assess a situation and make good decisions based on the
Holy
variables of that
shit.
situation. And if you don't do that, you're going to be a less than crew for a bigger ship. And the idea that somebody's going to pilot a Idris or even a Polaris through the verse by themselves with just AI and find themselves capable is ridiculous to me. That's kind of harsh, but I'm sorry. Sorry, not
No, I think
sorry.
you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Like you might get away with a few AI that are there for the really trivial and I don't want to say inconsequential, but let's just say less than consequential activities and decisions. Because if you put it up to AI for the consequential stuff, I think you're hamstringing yourself in terms of your capabilities of your warship or whatever it is, your refining ship or anything, because you want the human being that can make a good decision, able to weigh all the factors, even the ones that are not apparent to the AI in the situations that you're in. That's
Yep.
what we want in the military. That's why AI hasn't replaced, pilots and stuff like that. It's funny. We were actually just talking about this at work today because AI has come a long way. I was watching somebody was doing a demonstration of AI generated art, and it's incredible what AI has accomplished. And we brought up the movie RoboCop, not the old one, but the new one. Where they're switching to like drone armed enforcers in the military and they're selling these technology, these drones to the military. And yet there's America, ironically, is the one holding back on it, saying like, no, 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 no. We're not doing law enforcement or military drones in the United States because they can't make moral decisions like a human being can to based on the moral variables. And don't get me wrong, I'm not worried about that getting to the point with AI, but it's not. It's also just
I do.
there are variables that are intangible to a NPC AI that are tangible to a human player, and
Absolutely.
and if you don't have that, then you're gonna be at a disadvantage. And I think people need to really start realizing what NPC crew looks like. They are literally there to just take care of the things that players don't want to trouble themselves with. The minutia, the easy stuff,
Mopping
you know?
floors.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Picking up trash, something like that. I mean, the stuff that I
Moving
mean, don't be
cargo
wrong. There might be some.
containers,
Yes, yeah. There you like the basic functions of your ship
replacing
that you don't want to
relays.
worry about.
Yeah.
Well, so
Yeah,
interesting you said that. So one of the things I said was engineering and maintenance in our notes.
yeah.
And right, so I would assume we'll be able to set priorities, right? And I also make a key and critical assumption that by no means might be a reality, but I would assume an NPC would be able to access your inventories on the ship,
Oh yeah.
right?
Well, they showed a demo of that.
Well, and I'm sure that they'll have
So
you'll be able to give your NPC crew permissions just like you do for
right.
players. Yeah.
So you give them access, they go in, they pull out the relays that you're going to have them replace, and they should be able to, if a relay burns out, run to and replace that relay, right? Now, is that the full extent of engineering gameplay? I don't. That's like tier 1, right? They're giving us the first layer. That's probably the only thing I would ask them to do, right? Unless they give me a probability chance of that NPC succeeding in some complex engineering solution. Like if I found an NPC that had a 90% success rate of solving some engineering foobar, right, or snafu or whatever, then yeah, okay, maybe that engineer worthy of me giving him responsibilities to handle something more complex. But otherwise, I think you're going to want a player as chief engineer and trying to do all of that and trying to manage all. And you're going to want players that can actively react in creative ways to I
Yep.
mean, NPCs are augmentation tools, right? You may not want a player futzing about with a relay. Have the NPC go replace a relay. That's like an isolinear chip. You go sync, and you put the new one in, and away you go, right? Whereas there may be other complex issues like if you don't have relays and you have to rewire an entire system, some type of mini gameplay, that should be a player.
So my thoughts on NPC crew is that as far as cost, obviously I don't know about you guys, but I really enjoy colony sims. I've been playing Stranded New Dawn quite a bit, and I really enjoy those colony sim games where you are, and the way that they have described it in what little they have talked about for NPC crew and everything, there is a lot of, it seems like, influence of RimWorld in it, in terms of your attributes and for NPCs, for AI. So attributes and then affinity, and it's the same sort of system that you see in games like RimWorld, like Stranded Alien Dawn, where your NPCs that you have to manage as part of your colony, they have attributes and as far as things that they're more or less skilled in, but then they also have affinities as far as things that they prefer to do, and both in terms of labor, but also in terms of recreation. And so I don't know if we're going to have to, is the Galaxy or the Polaris going to be better for your NPC crew morale because there's a pool table versus a Corsair,
Yeah.
But I do think that they will, they will have things that they'll have affinity for tasks as far as whether it's based off of their skill level or not, and they will unless you are giving them specific instructions, they will fall back on that affinity just like they do for the quanta system, as far as jobs that they're going to be drawn towards. And not only is it going to be okay, how much is this paying, based off of it's a combination of factors. And so I really think that's kind of how they're building the back end system for the for quanta, for NPCs, and the different levels of AI. And I think it's also going to factor into the cost. You can hire your different levels of crew, and maybe this person has this many points to spread across their different skills, and so they're going to cost a lot more than the person that starts off with this large of a pool. And
So I think they've already said that they're going to be proficient at certain things.
Yeah, as far as certain tasks. But is it always going to be based off of a pool of 10 points? Every NPC is 10 points, or some going to be a higher level NPC that has 20 points to spread across, if that makes sense.
That's like MechWarrior 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
the
were talking.
same
I
sort of
brought up
idea.
BattleTech at the beginning of this because BattleTech's got a similar system,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
uses a lot of the same MechWarrior 5 engine type stuff, where
Yep.
it's like,
BattleTech, Mech
you know,
Warrior, the Colony
yeah,
Sims. There's a lot of shared things. The
I'm
issue
about to launch
is
a series, by the way. Me and a buddy
oh
of mine from college playing MechWarrior
oh yeah, you
5.
were saying that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
I love that game. I
It's a
love all
great
the
game. I'm having such a blast.
that's if I was to get out of medicine and go into games development, that sort of theme for BattleTech is the type of game that I would make, but it wouldn't be mechs, but it would be the mercenary company thing where you have your ship. Anyway, sorry. But I think the biggest challenge, and this plugs into what you were saying, Night Cobb, as far as setting expectations as to when, is the AI that CIG is working on right now, and a lot of the AI behaviors, are around Squadron 42, but it's predominantly combat related, and then specific, sort of day to day stuff.
yeah,
And the combat AI is something that has been done, by lots of different game developers for lots of different games, regardless of whether it's FPS or flying, fighters and dogfighters or whatever. It's there is precedent for that as far as developing those behaviors, and people sort of know what they're doing coming into it. The issue is we don't have complex AI behaviors and AI to AI interactions for things like operating a reclaimer or an Orion. And that's the thing that I think people are, it's one thing because they're building AI to have an AI man your damn turret or to fire the missiles, or to do the mundane maintenance things like replacing relays and putting out fires, and doing that sort of thing. Moving ammunition across the ship, what have you. It's another thing to expect to have NPC crew operating a tractor beam turret, a salvage beam turret, and the and
yeah,
drones,
I get what
and
you're
all
saying.
three
We're
of those
basically
AI
saying like,
working in concert.
yeah, yeah, it's one
It's
thing to have your
complex
Javelin
operations.
crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing to have your Javelin crew just say, all right, target that ship, and all turrets on that side start to fire at that ship. That's easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereas if you're sitting on a mole and you've got a complex rock that requires the firing
Exactly.
of multiple mining modules and all that kind of stuff, yeah, that requires way more competence
Mm-hmm.
than what I expect for typical AI, and I get
Yeah.
that, and I'm with you on that. I think you're a long ways off from that. Yeah, we might have AI turrets way faster than anything else. Anything,
Yeah.
and maybe some basic AI engineering. I'm with you there, Attira, on that one. But past that, like, I mean, you really just got to look at it as you're going to want people. You're going to want human beings that can communicate effectively. You don't have to open up a sub menu. You can literally just through VoIP say, "Hey, I need you to execute mining
Mm-hmm.
module A, B, whatever," and it happens quickly. It happens without a lot of thought on their part, because you're speaking their language and it's a human being to human being interaction. You're going to win way more engagements and way more industrial game loops that way.
Yeah. Have you ever played Pulsar?
No.
If you guys ever want to play that, we need to do that co-op game night. I will do it. I
I have to recruit Salty into that because he
yeah.
knows
Pulsar Lost Colony.
He knows
Pulsar.
he
Yeah.
knows the engineering. It's a slow game to be sure, and in one play session you might get 3 missions done. But if you're using NPC crew, right, you have a gunner, you have an engineer, you have a pilot. Who the hell would ever use the pilot? Good grief! And like a medic or something. I don't remember. But yeah, you can. It's if you look,
You see
it's
how he
like
put you at the bottom of the rung there, Tree?
Yeah.
Like a
no.
medic
Who
or
would ever
something.
use
Yeah, somebody barely useful in this
It
scenario.
smells like. Is
There's
there something
some
on
guy.
fire? Something burning?
Yeah, some
the
corpsman. I don't know.
some corpsman. What
Just doing something.
the,
Probably lazing about in sick bay.
he's just
Doing
waiting
anything
for
useful.
somebody
I'm
to
an
come
officer
and
and I've got
shot.
a sliver. Come take care of this for me.
Ah!
Yeah.
The interaction menu for those guys though is pretty impressive. It's like your monitor, it's like the whole monitor's height of priorities that you can set for what you want them to do. But I still think, as to your point, Nightcop, it's not enough. It's not good enough because it's you can't actively retask on the fly an NPC.
Yeah.
The only thing you can do, and I put this on here, is we should have commands for ship conditions, and that's it.
Oh, like
Right.
general quarters or
So
battle
general
stations?
quarters or battle stations or
Yeah,
something
I
like
agree with
that.
that.
And that then sets the NPC in a different status. So if the engineer is talking about in his bunk, smoking a cigarette or something, using up
Yeah.
oxygen, right? And you call general quarters or you call battle stations, his ass is up and moving to the engineering, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's
you can do
filling his
that in Colony
pockets.
Sims.
He's
You
filling his pockets with relays, and he's ready to go.
It's
Yep.
like
Your
the old Age
gunner,
of Empires. You click on the town hall and you ring the bell, and already stops what they're doing, and they go grab
yeah,
their
yeah, yeah,
pitchforks
yeah,
and their bows and arrows.
Yeah.
yeah. And then
Before
your
you
gunner, he's
continue, I
gonna
got to
stand
interrupt
up
you
and he's
for
gonna.
1 second.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So, my son is almost a year old next week. He took a couple little stumble steps earlier today while we were playing, like 2 kind of little stutter steps.
Yeah.
And so,
Nice.
well, let's turn this the right way.
Such a
Play.
proud father. Super cute.
I know. Super dad, space dad. It's
Yeah.
not. You're not getting it. There you go,
Right?
right there. Nope. Just hit it where you can see it. There you go. Oh, stumble steps.
Oh
Yeah?
yeah,
Cute.
nice.
Look
Oh,
at
that's
that.
Nice.
good. Oh yeah.
Did it to you.
Oh,
I
there we
have
go. We're
3,
good.
so
He's
I
good.
will say
He's
that
good.
that's fantastic. I love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Adorable.
He's all excited because I made chili in the crock pot, so he's running now apparently because the chili came out so good. But yeah,
I'm excited.
my son is
Chili
taking
for him?
steps. Hooray!
Yeah, that's
chili
good.
and
Nice.
cornbread with cream corn and green chilies inside.
It was a banner day, man. That's a banner day.
That is a banner day. Yeah.
That's what I'm saving my beer for. Is when we get
But
done
see,
to
now
go down
you've
and have dinner.
transitioned to a horrific time in your life where when you
Oh, it's
put the
terrifying.
child down, they're no longer there when you come back.
Where did he go?
And you're like, where did he go? Shit. What's he into? Right?
I love
That's
your
like a
RSI by the shirt, by the way. Just wanted to say.
whole
I just
new
noticed
level of terror that you have entered into. That is a great shirt. Yeah.
I have the Nautilus shirt too. Yeah. Sorry,
Or a Scorpius one.
that my phone just buzzed and I was like, "There's the video," and that's, yeah, pretty big deal. Pretty big deal.
Velcro
It
wall.
is a big deal. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the naughty.
I will send them to you because I showed them off in Pathfinders the other night when we were talking about the ship pipeline. But I have the leaked Nautilus white box videos that are really cool, and I think you'll like them. So
It's not that I think that it's a unattractive ship. I think it's an attractive ship. I just question the utility of mining because we kind of have mines around stations and they really aren't that good.
Yeah.
Right?
In the vastness of space. Like, I agree with you. I saw that we had like that was like the first ship that I ever was like scrolling through the RSI webpage, and I was like, a mine layer?
I'll just go around.
Yeah, unless I don't know. So it's one of those things. It's like I'm really curious to see the gameplay that they try and build around a mine layer. I wonder if they sit in their office and they're like, man, just put that on the back burner because I have no idea how that's going to be effective or engaging. We'll just deal with that later.
Because it carries like 10 mines
they've
or
worked on
something, 12
mines.
mines.
There's more than that, but they've worked on mines recently, and that's why I brought it up in the pipeline because they were talking about, at quick tangent, but they were talking about how they don't make ships without gameplay, and they're trying to avoid introducing ships. Yeah, they made that statement a couple of years ago. I got into it with Burks about it because he's like, "What about all these other ships?" I was like, "Yes, they made that statement in like 2018, 2019." And since then, the only ships we've gotten are ships that, the MSR doesn't have its specific gameplay, but it's a very utilitarian ship. the Foraged Eye doesn't have exploration gameplay, but it's a utilitarian ship. It's still useful. It isn't the 890 or the Reclaimer, which is otherwise pretty useless. Oh, there's the kid in the background right now. But so getting back to NPCs, we talked about how they're going to be, how there's going to be a cost to them. You're going to have to, they're going to consume resources just like the players will. They're constrained by the same actor statuses that we are. They're going to have a salary that'll probably, be scaled to, how many skill, whatever level they are. Oh, sorry, Nightcab, the sound alerts are not plugged into all my OBS scenes yet. So it doesn't work yet.
I know, imagine my disappointment.
Yeah. It's going to be, I just have to go through and do the work, but I didn't have time between video editing.
It was an inappropriate time too, but it was one of those things like, I have all these crayons. I wanted the So Say We All.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mainly because I was reacting to his child in the background,
Yeah.
like speaking, talking the language. And I was like, So Say We All.
He's upset about something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm with him. I'm sorry. I was testing your emojis. I just had a moment. It was.
I'll have them working soon. I promise. It took me long enough just to get them all into the sound alerts website thing.
I know you were like trying to talk about stuff, so I'm sorry.
Important things.
Okay.
That's my bad.
The last couple of things I wanted to ask you guys about NPCs is because we talked about how the NPCs themselves work, what they've talked about as far as affinities and their skills and such as well. What tools do you think we're going to have to manage them? Like, is it going to be a scroll wheel? Are you going to have, a thing like in Mass Effect where you're, pointing, using the scroll wheel in order to tell somebody to go here to do something? What are your ideas for how that would work in game? How you would gamify managing these NPCs?
Real.
That
exhale of exasperation was real.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not. I know. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to be negative. I just want to be
the cold water on expectations, because that's the other thing I like to do here when I do it on Pathfinders is inform and talk about these things in depth, so that way people consider them, both in the frame of reference of what information we have from CIG, but also what else is likely to come from other games or from real world influences that they might use in order to make this happen.
Yeah.
Well, two things come to mind for me, and that's I think about if you guys are DCS players and you've interacted with Jester in the F-14 like menu, where it's very similar to the personal in Star Citizen, like the close resemblance is the personal thought. It brings up the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The personal interaction thought.
Right. Yeah.
That tool. So I think it'd be something along those lines. Like all you got to do is F-click on an AI NPC, and it brings up the wheel of interaction, and you assign them a task real quick. And that kind of goes diegetically with what they have already. And then I immediately go to the coffee vendor radial menu. Thank you, Robin Blitz. And then I immediately go to like what we have already with the coffee vendor. And, maybe it'll be something similar or akin to that, where it's like not exactly as player friendly, where they brings up the list of options of what kind of beer I want. And it's just like, all right, I gotta scroll down through. I'll get to the right action here, and hopefully there's not a sub menu. But then that's kind of why I assign it that radial menu, where it's like, okay, click this one radial menu icon, and then it brings up 6 new ones within the radial menu, and this is the one that I choose from, and they go from there and stuff like that. And that's the tricky part. I think the reason I'm exhaling is I'm like, that's a long ways away.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get there one day.
I think it's
so
for the simpler things. I think it's more, that'll probably be a little bit more near term. It's I really think that people have expectations of what the NPCs are going to be capable of that are not in line with A, the reality of development, but B, the reality of what games can do.
Can support.
I totally
Absolutely.
agree with that,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is like I mean I really struggle with everybody talking about I'm gonna have 30 NPC blades on my you know javelin or Polaris, and it's like no, you're not gonna be able to survive that way. You might be able
No.
to get at a dock and fly it around, but it's gonna be little more than a Gladius
If
that's really
you're
big to
flying
you.
it. If
Yeah,
you're
if you're
flying
flying
it.
it, yeah,
Because,
yeah,
I mean,
and it,
if you look at the Polaris, there's a captain's chair. Don't you want to sit in the center chair like a big boy? You're get
honestly no, that's a personal preference thing.
okay, but you're born and bred engineer. Okay, so I want to sit in the captain's
No, no,
big
all right,
boy.
well, all right,
But
let's be
look,
clear. I've talked about this. I don't want to do engineering gameplay. I get enough of that work. I want to be I want to be in the pilot's chair or a
okay, fair
gunner.
enough,
Turret
fair
bro.
enough. But like, you're a turret
Turret
bro.
bro.
That's right. But
Turret bro.
for the guy who wants to fly a Polaris solo, do you want to command that ship or do you just want to be the pilot of that ship? I can't imagine. I don't know. I feel like if you own a $700 ship,
You want to
you
be the
don't want
captain.
you want to be the captain of
I'm
this
with you.
awesome ship.
We don't have time to get into my thoughts on that whole idea too of like what are we going to do when all these bigger ships are in game and you own 3 of them?
They sit in dry dock until such time as
I know. And there's
you
going to
can
be a
use them.
cost associated with that. There's going to be a
Maybe.
cost associated
I
with
mean,
that.
I wonder because it maybe, but not maybe.
if you move it
Maybe.
to
I don't know.
another hangar that isn't the one that you own, if you're having to
Right.
rent hangar space, yeah, you're
Thank you.
boned.
Yeah.
But
That's what
So,
I think you're going to get to the point where you got
what?
like people with huge fleets are going to be leasing ships
Oh,
Mhm.
to
without a
pay for
doubt.
their costs.
But here's the thing though, right? So like every ship comes with a hangar. So does that mean that you have just say for every ship you have a hangar? So this goes to like okay, game day launch, right? Game day launch for Star Citizen, and you're some $10,000, $15,000. Does this mean you have to select a? I know. Look at trees looking around like you have to choose a
You
My
be
planet
wife
leasing
can't
that.
location. Hear
You're
you.
gonna be leasing that to your org, man. That's what that's
Well,
the reality, right?
absolutely, I'm gonna open
Yeah.
up most of my ships to my org, but as a day one problem, you're gonna have to say where I want this hangar in the verse and what ship is in that hangar, right? So the Javelin owners, I don't know what hangar a Javelin comes with. Let's be clear, Kel does not own a
That's a
Javelin.
space dock ship. That's a
It
space dock ship.
it is, but does it come with a hangar? I don't know. I've never even seen this.
It's kind of
Where do
like
you? But
a.
if it stays where you spawn it, like the first time, like the place that you put it, and you take it back consistently to that place, which is your dock that you own, I assume there won't be a charge to that. But yeah, I think
I
you're right. If you go someplace else and you have to rent space for a ship like that, it's going to cost you.
The analogy for that is the Kirov heavy cruiser from the Russians gets decommissioned and sold to Nigeria, and they had the money to buy it, but they don't have the people to crew it. They don't have the money to operate it. It just sits in the port of whatever city sits on the coast of Nigeria and looks cool, and occasionally they, shoot some fireworks off of it, on Nigerian Independence Day, but it doesn't actually get used. That's, and
Yeah.
no,
You can
no, I'm
draw the
not
same
disparaging
analogy to U.S.
Nigeria, but I'm
battleships,
pretty
by the
sure.
way.
Yeah, same thing.
Those are still available for active service, but they basically sit in a dock and they suck up money in the terms
Lots
of
of it.
maintenance costs.
Okay, but I
Lots of it.
went up.
Yeah,
What
not
is it? The
small amounts.
Missouri? Is that the one in Hawaii? The Missouri
Yeah.
that you can tour? That's a badass ship.
It is a
I
badass ship, but she's not in active service. But she could be pulled
no,
into
but
active service. But she
oh,
costs a
and
lot to maintain down there.
woe to the son of a bitch that forces us to do. Yeah, that's a
Um,
cool ship.
Now, don't be
so
wrong. I don't disagree with you. And you know that's not the only one, right?
I'm gonna
Oh
reel us
no,
back in.
there's
We want to talk in.
No, we want to talk about battleships.
I'm
They're
gonna
cool.
pull your. I'm gonna pull your.
All
We
right.
can. We're gonna put a pin. We're gonna put a pin.
Put a pin in that.
the in
NPC
capital
NPC
ships.
crew, right?
But
What
so
were we talking about? We were talking
we were
about
talking about managing them,
management
and I
tools.
wanted this. I had so we talked about the radial menu, and you know how we have the radial menu that we have right now, in that you
Right.
can customize it with the things that you use the most.
Yes.
What I
Yeah.
was thinking is, what if when you went to interact with an NPC, or you have these NPCs, their little icon is on the right side of your screen, and you press whatever, Control F1 or Control 1 to open up that radial menu for that NPC. What if you could customize the radial menu for each one based off of their skills? So that way you could say, okay, you've got these 5 presets based off of their skills, and then one more button to get you into the niche things that they are you don't normally use, in order to quickly be able to give them tasks that you want done. And if they're not automatically doing one of those tasks, you also have a separate radial menu for select, with sub menu for putting in their, selecting their affinity for things to do, during downtime, when they've completed their specific task and you don't have something else to give them. Because I think that would be a manageable way to manage them doing those general things that we talked about. But I honestly cannot think of a feasible way in a high tempo combat situation where you could do stuff like that, in order to manage those NPCs to be able to do those coordinated things that you need them to do in a capital ship, or even a large ship, in a combat scenario,
Yeah.
or an industrial scenario.
Yeah, what you're talking about is you're not looking at them. You're sitting in your captain's chair,
So that's
and those
what I
menus
was
are
gonna
based
get
on a
to.
personal interaction. So what you ultimately need is department heads that can go around the ship in the respective locations that matter and
Yeah.
interact with them, or do so through a station for
Yeah.
like combined actions, which that's a whole new level of coding that they haven't even gotten to.
So
Yeah,
for s-
tiering it in order to say over voice to, wouldn't be Night Cobb because he doesn't want to be an engineer, but to whoever your engineer is, hey, we need you to do this, and then the engineer can use a couple of his NPCs to, hey, I need you to go do this and this while I do this, in order, a series of force multipliers is what they are with your human crew. But I just
but
don't see
I don't think it
having
could
an
be a
all
radial
NPC
menu,
crew.
though.
Yeah.
I don't think it could be.
It doesn't have to be a radial menu, but I could see using a radial menu to assign
anything
tasks.
anything that they do that's flashy, like a radial menu, is going to cost you time.
Yeah.
And I think
Well,
players
that's
are
part
going
of
to get more frustrated with a radial menu where it's like, vroom, and then you're like,
Yeah, and
click, vroom.
yeah, and hopefully it drives those players to realize that the real value of this
Yes.
game is the multiplayer roles.
Well, I agree, sure.
Yeah.
But I do think, like, for instance, if you call battle stations, right, your UI as a captain should change, right? So if you have a single, right, and this comes back to, like, I had a conversation. I got to go to CitizenCon, and I asked John Crew what he had against captain's chairs, and he said, "Well, captain chair, you're the captain. It's all about charisma and your ability to lead." And that's fine. That's true. But it's also about the information that it's fed to you, ability to communicate with the crew, right?
Yeah.
Especially in a high, right? And there's only one place that really allows you to do that, and it's the bridge. And there's only one really place that allows you to do that on the bridge, and that's where the captain's station is, right? And he's got all the tools laid out and allows him to the ship, right?
Yep.
And it's the same thing in the Army for battalion commander. Where is he now? It's a little bit more fluid for the Army because an infantry battalion commander can fight from a radio and a map, right? And so can an armor battalion commander, right? They have the option to, well, depending on the type of fight, of a talk, right? And that talk gives them more capability, more radios. But the bottom line is their leaders require information to make decisions, and you require the communication system we call C4I C4I or C4ISR that allows us to then disseminate guidance after we make a decision. So that's what a captain's chair or a captain's station for a multi-crew ship like the Carrack that doesn't have necessarily a captain's chair, right? You have the globe up top that should act as a captain's station, and I should be able to lock into that like a station.
Yeah.
When you call battle stations and you start to manage your high intensity situation, the UI changes, right? It should be intuitive. And it's not this convoluted, irritating radial menu that's slow. It should be something quick, right? So if a relay goes out and you're the captain and right, and all you have, let's say, is maybe you only have a couple of runs with the NPC filling as an engineer, and a relay goes out, right? You should be able to just click on that guy who has a representation icon, combat, right, HUD as a captain at that station, because that's where you are during combat. And that allows you to then, it opens the same kind of the same thing as what you're talking about for the radio menu, but instead of being with him and clicking on him, it's just a part of your HUD,
Oh, yeah, I
which
wasn't meaning you have to click on the
you can
NPC
now,
himself. Just,
yeah.
wherever
So
you
you can
click on
now
him,
bring
it
up
pulls up
the
a
tree,
menu. Yeah.
and then you can not tree pun, and then tell him what you want him to do,
Stop
right?
bringing
So
me up. I'm so tired. Every time.
focus on relays, right? Focus on engine maintenance, focus on hull repair, focus on
Damage control.
damage control, fucking repair the oxygen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Life support,
Fight
right?
fires.
Life support, right? Fight fire, that kind of stuff, right? So and those are like the simple things that at those critical points you're going to need. Like a fire alarm goes off and whatever, you're going to say, I want the fire dealt with in engineering first, right? And so he goes off and does that. Now, I think also though a pulsar like menu would not go amiss, right? So if I have a soup to nuts menu that I as a captain can access from my station, and I can say I want Jim Bob to focus, because he's an engineer, on the following things. So fire number one, relay number two, or if we get something more complex in engineering gameplay than relays, right? Whatever. And then something else number three. And I tell Gunner, right? Okay, Gunner boy, right? Your number one priority is getting to the right turret and gunning. But if I call repel borders, your ass gets out of that turret and you pull out your sidearm and you stand by and you're prepared to repel borders and try and kill PCs that come onto the ship. So there's you should be able to set like actions per condition of the ship. So there's I don't know, standard operating, peacetime operation. There's a condition when you're at a heightened alert.
Yep.
There could be just an emergency condition where you get hit by a flare and everybody needs to be in an emergency condition in combat.
Casualty condition.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's combat.
Yep.
And each of those conditions has a set priority that you can preset for your NPC that tells them what they should be doing during that by either percentages or just prioritized list that says if there's nothing wrong here, I go do this. If there's nothing wrong here, I go do this. And the moment this happens, I stop what I'm doing and I go deal with this problem.
Yeah.
And then
the amount of planning that will go into that is part of what I think will drive a lot of people away from doing that and drive them away, because like you were talking about, Nycob, planning is the primary game loop. And in order to be successful at using NPC crew, even as successful as you can with NPC crew versus people, planning. You got to do even more planning over what you would do otherwise. And I think that's going to be like the on top of the costs, that's going to be the other significant limitation and that's really just for using them for generic tasks that they can perform that aren't really in concert with other NPC. I that's
But here's the
where,
thing.
you know,
Gamers are not on average going to be I mean, well, some of them are. Some of them are very
mhm,
super decisive in their decision. Others are not.
yeah,
So that level of planning specificity allows a less decisive gamer to kind of plan and try to keep himself afloat a little bit longer, right?
mhm,
Yeah.
It also allows for smaller organizations to take out larger ships and enjoy those ships with some of the mundane work carried out by NPCs and then the more important roles handled by players. And it allows you to mix and match. And then you got freaking juggernauts like, I don't know, Test and Explorers and all these other guys who are like, hey guys, we're taking out a jet.
and
And
they've
like,
got a lot of people who are no better
like
than NPCs anyway. So
200 people show up and you're like, well, but yeah, sure, yeah. And then you run into a totally different problems of comms infrastructure and 200 people on the same Discord trying to communicate,
mhm,
which
Yeah.
is a completely different problem, which we will not
Yep.
get into here.
Yeah.
But it
but it's
does
gonna be
allow you to kind of set some of the mundane tasks. And if you can switch their prioritization level with something as simple as a ship condition, then it allows you to kind of sort of get after those basic tasks of staying alive without, you know, taking all your time because you're the player don't always want to be doing.
yeah.
Some
Yeah.
of it will be fun. Some of it will just be like, I blew another relay. You'll be like, hey, Jim
I
Bob,
have to get up out of
fucking
my chair again and go
go
back to the
change that
cargo
relay
bay
so I can
and get
keep
a
flying.
relay. Hmm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think it would be beneficial, but you're right. It's a long way away now. I don't even think they've to started to think about
Well, they have a
interface
lot.
for
Some of the
NPC control.
they have been working on a lot of the behaviors for NPCs to work with interactables. So the ability
Yep.
for an NPC to replace a component, to replace a relay, I think is something that we will see in Squadron 42. And
Oh,
that,
sure.
yeah, it's the, but anything beyond those basic maintenance, damage control mechanics, putting out fires, replacing relays and components. I don't think we're going to see much beyond that. Any complex maneuvers, you know, beyond
But in
that.
Squadron 42, they can magic a lot of stuff,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because
and
that
you also
Idris
have a
that you're
ton of
flying off
processing
of,
overhead. Versus
right? Yeah.
the the server having to relying on server tick rate to make sure that things
Oh
happen on
yeah.
my ship gives me all sorts of uncomfortability.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But I mean, like, if because you're off in your Gladius, right? You're killing the kingship with
Hmm.
your Gladius while that Idris, doing
Yeah.
whatever an Idris does in Squadron, right? But
Hmm.
what's going on that Idris is magic because it doesn't matter as long as the Idris survives and you place the land. It's
Yeah.
not a big deal, right?
Yep.
Because what they're telling you in Squadron is a story. It's an adventure, right? And
Yeah.
you're the
That's already
hero.
pre-scripted.
It's pre-
Pre-scripted is what. Yeah.
it's scripted, right? I mean, yeah, the
Yeah.
major milestone is it's a classic first person game. That's why they say, right, like the Idris and Javelin really complete because they're complete for Squadron, but that's not necessarily the same ship we're going to get in Star Citizen because what the NPCs need versus what we need to suck the egg are two different things.
Hmm.
And so when what us maintaining that ship and Squadron maintaining that ship is two very different problems for CIG.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I so here's
there may be points in the game in Squadron where the Idris is undiable. It just can't be killed, right?
yeah.
Because that's the story. And
Hmm.
and then there may but you're absolutely dead in about 15 minutes from four ships right now in an Idris.
Yeah.
4 or 5
Um,
ships, small ships, you're in trouble.
Before we wrap it up, because I got to go have dinner in a couple minutes, Oh,
No worries.
hey, it's Nick. Just raided
Oh,
with a
man.
party of 4.
Oh, man. And
Hey,
then he
it's Nick.
raided.
Hey.
Hey, Nick
Welcome.
raid. Thank you for the raid, Nick. I appreciate you. Nick was one of my partners.
One of mine, too.
Hey. Oh yeah, for
Nick.
Captain's Table. Yeah, we've got now we just need to get Nick on with Attira on Captain's Table, and he'll have completed the trifecta. He'll have done a hat trick.
You've collected
with
all
three of
Nick.
the.
Or not
Collected
yet.
all
You yeah,
three.
2. Yeah, you got
What
2.
does he? What does he get? What does he unlock?
Maybe we'll gift him. When Nick collects all 3, we'll gift him a sub. Yeah, he is.
I can do better than that.
On
Nick, let
Captain's
us know, man.
Table.
I'll get you some Navy swag or something like that.
Oh
man.
yeah. Well, we need patches.
Oh, Navy swag.
Yeah.
I mean, I could get you Navy swag. What I couldn't get you is Army swag because I'm not on an Army base.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys let me know, I'll get you some Navy swag.
That's what Nick always says when he's on Captain's Table. He's Nick, what do you got? Because you always say that you're always like in the background on everybody's Twitch and stuff, always hanging out, like with Galactica and stuff. It's always entertaining to see the little clips of Nick shenanigans on different people's Twitches. But before we, thank you so much for the raid. Really appreciate it, bud. I'll have to have you on Pathfinders or something sometime. That'd be a lot of fun. But I wanted to ask you guys one more question before we wrap it up, because Chili is waiting. Yeah, I can find a clip of Nick basically anywhere. I wanted to ask you guys if you had a preference. You're in your preferred ship. Maybe it's the Perseus for you, Night Cobb. I don't know what it would be for you, Attira. We haven't really talked about that.
I'm in my captain's quarters. So look,
you're in your Carrack. Okay, so Night Cobb in his Carrack, Night Cobb in Attira in his Carrack, Night Cobb in his Perseus. If you have to use NPC,
I'm not a Carrack Karen. Don't accuse me of that.
Zing.
Zing.
If you've got NPC crew, you've got a few of your humans as well. You've got like 2 human buddies to help you out, help you crew your ship, and you have to use NPCs. What's your first priority for those NPCs? Those NPC crew.
My first priority for the NPCs on my Perseus.
Yep, on your Perseus, doing what a Perseus does.
Yeah, they're keeping the head clean. Everybody else on a slot on my it's not even a joke. Like, they're keeping the head clean, the floor scrubbed, putting trash away, because I trust them for nothing else. I want real people in the 2 gunner positions on dual size 7 guns. I want people I can talk to. I want a person I can talk to in the co-pilot chair, and I want a no-kidding engineer running engineering for me. I have no desire for NPCs whatsoever on my crew. And that's kind of why I picked the Perseus. I'm be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
4 to 5 person crew. No, I don't. No, I own a Titan, guys. That's where I'm at.
I own a Titan. I'm super jelly.
Night Cobb has a permanent
future.
spot on my Perseus until he gets his own. That's how he'll earn his way up. Is I'll have him running my Perseus for me, so I can be the engineer. He can fly. Like, if the captain, we're gonna do a little bit. If you say I need a pilot
for my Perseus, I'm be like, I'm down. That's what my eventual. Like, even if you were like, I need a gunner, I'd be like, yeah, I'm down. I got to work my way up through the ranks. So be it.
Well, you know how like in Colony Sims, there is that sort of that low level mundane task of you have to move things from here to there. You're moving them from the supplies from your supply storage to the actual places where things get done. You have to have somebody cleaning up the trash, taking out the trash. Otherwise, the morale on the ship goes down. I can totally see that being a task that an NPC will do. You need to, the NPC, you're essentially saying your one NPC crewman that you're going to rely on is going to be the guy going from the cargo hold to the turrets in order to keep their ammo supplies up, and doing the cleaning essentially. Yeah. So same question, Attira, but the Carrack is an exploration ship, and you are on an expedition. What is your NPC your NPC crew? Say You've got you and 2 other humans on a 6-person ship. You've got 3 NPCs. What are those NPCs doing?
3 NPCs.
Just remember, guys, before he answers this question, he manages binders,
I
not
manage
people.
binders.
If you
That's
could
what I
turn,
do.
if you could turn, Night Cop, if you could turn his camera around into the Carrack where he is right now, you would see all the binders up on the bookshelves
Binders everywhere
in front of him.
Yeah.
They're all
Look, he's
neatly
got audit
labeled
and
and
surveillance
organized.
programs and
Artwork
maintenance
and
programs
binders.
to worry about and worry about. Like, he doesn't have time for people.
Mhm.
He
That's
doesn't have
right.
time
God,
for
you
people.
fucking
The rest of us
plebs.
have collectibles and things that we've discovered up on the bookshelves. He's got
Just gonna make you
binders, in-game
stand out in the
binders.
hall while I work on my binders, waiting for me. He's laughing because he knows I've never done that in the Army, and I've never
Truth
experienced a leader in the Army.
Truth nukes getting laid out by Attira right
Truth
there.
nukes.
We'll
Truth
make you wait
nukes.
out in the hallway while I review the binders. That's all I've got time for.
Okay, I have to clip that later because Truth
Oh.
Nukes is going to become one of my sound alerts.
Oh,
Truth
man.
Nukes.
Yeah, Truth Nukes.
And I'm gonna make a GIF for it. You know, a bomb falling and Truth Nukes.
Man,
That's what he's got NCOs for. His NCOs are managing his people. He's not worried about that stuff.
That's
He's
on
worried
my
about
list
big
of things
picture
to do tomorrow. I can't wait to
Look,
drop
there
it
are
in our group
programs.
chat.
There are
Oh,
programs
boy.
that need to be audited and dealt with. I'm just telling you.
The inner platoon and company commander in me is
I'm sure it's hurting.
full rage mode right now, and
I know. Right now, though, there are probably several Navy officers that are like, God, he's so right.
or the other side is, guys, dick.
Yeah,
Ugh,
well, I mean, they're probably like, senior enlisted. I hate them.
I hate them so much.
If we didn't need
Navy
them, we would
chiefs.
throw them overboard.
Throw them
Yeah.
over. Walk the plank.
If I didn't need him to
kill all
manage
of
my people for me, I would be really upset and probably kicking him out of this right now. I got to go review a binder.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Attira.
Go ahead. I'm done.
Attira, your 3 NPCs, your NPC fire team. What are they doing for
man,
you on your
gosh.
expedition for your Carrack?
Well, I think primarily it's just kind of like what Nike was saying. It's maintenance, which obviously includes mopping, cleaning, but also, I mean, fire's big, and keeping the ship clean helps reduce that. So general maintenance, that's one area that they can, and I assume large ships, a great deal of maintenance this needs to occur over time, and I hope that that's the case. I hope that they're not just these pristine ships that we drive around constantly and they never require any work, right? So that kind of mundane stuff would be great. If we go into combat, I think relay replacement is a good job for an NPC. Run around, stick a thing in, pull the old thing out, stick the new thing in, and you're back up and running, right? That's, I mean, you've cut off 2 of my guns, right? So I assume I'm piloting, and I have 4 guns, and
you're on an exploration. You're a deep space expedition. You're exploring a strange new world.
There's
you're not getting shot at. This isn't a combat scenario. No. You pick the Carrack.
I'll be right back, guys.
All right, not a
Perseus.
combat situation. Not a combat situation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, gosh, a third. So a dude is doing general repair and maintenance. Probably all of them at different points. What was the other thing I said? I'm old.
Maintenance and cleaning and
relay replacement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, in a Carrack. Ugh. I mean, I guess you could have in an exploration vessel, you could probably hire an NPC that is good at scanning gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that he's as good as a player. It doesn't mean that he's going to catch. You hire the right NPC, that NPC behind the terminal and scan, and he, you might get a verbal cue, unknown contact, starboard 10 kilometers, or anomaly at X, right? And then from there, you as the player with your player pilot can then, or you as the pilot can then decide whether you want to adjust course to go investigate that anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
So that
I
might
think
be
that's
another
I could definitely
good
see
opportunity.
an NPC operating the scanner, and you just tell them, "I need you to scan this area," and it's like a 6x6 box, and you know on the map or whatever, and they'll just go through meticulously and scan each box, and you'll get a notification if they find an anomaly, and then maybe you take over scanning, or you tell them, give them an instruction to do a detailed scan, you know, you know at higher
Right.
resolution or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
not
Enhance.
having the I don't think they would have the initiative to, oh, okay, well, I found an anomaly, I'm going to investigate it further, blah blah blah, the specific instructions.
Well, maybe it depends, right? It depends on the guy, because they've said, right, that certain NPCs will be very good at certain things.
Mhm.
So maybe they will.
I think
But
the being good at it
but
would
sure.
reduce time,
Reduce
or
time, yeah, more accurate.
another way, be more efficient or be more accurate, or increase
Yeah.
likelihood, this or that.
Something happened. He's dealing with a sailor right now. He's nodding his head.
No, Ghost Dog. Ghost Dog was misbehaving. I had to
Yeah.
go deal
Oh,
with that.
So I
Ghost
said
dog, how dare
scanning.
you?
So maintenance, relay repair, and scanning. Because I think scanning is a fairly passive thing that give you a cue that something is out there, and then you could either take over scanning and narrow that down, or you could just cowboy it, head in, see what's there as an explorer, and see what you find. But it wouldn't be. I mean, God, with 3 people, you also have to have a couple of them that were designated as gunners. If
And that's
you only
easy.
have,
That's easy AI for the most part.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, because as three players and 3 NPCs to
I'm not
man
going to give you
all
the
the
easy
guns.
out though, because they're not going to be manning the guns all the time. Only
No,
only when you go to
right.
condition red.
That's where I
That goes
demand
back to the battle stations, general
my
quarters
battle
stuff.
stations mode, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
when I call battle stations
Ring the
with the
bell.
push of with a button, yeah, ding 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 ding. Yeah, they go to the turret. The right guys go to the turret, and the right guys go to the turret to wherever the fuck I'm going to send them, right? But the key is, right, because one of those players is my engineer. So really, that immediately alleviates. I have to probably have 3 NPCs in it, because one of those is probably a pilot, or I'm the pilot. One, maybe 2 of them are in the gunners, and one of them is an engineer. And that
Yep.
leaves the rest to kind of pull maintenance, put out fires, and things like that, which I lump into the maintenance category, right? But yeah, so maintenance, relay, repair, replace, and scanning. I think that kind of covers what I would have NPC as a primary function. I wouldn't have them feature that.
So
I would
I'm gonna
never let an
use.
NPC pilot my ship.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
insanity.
not my
I'd
big
Yeah,
crash
ship.
into
it is. It is insanity in my mind.
how would you guide that? So then we have to talk about
No.
didn't
Yeah.
too far
You can't.
is ground combat with NPCs. And you said, are we going to have something like Mass Effect, where you have 2 NPCs behind you, right? And you can say, like, oh God, I've forgotten all their names. Garrus,
Yeah, Garrus.
Garrus, right? I want you to go crouch behind that cover, right, and engage, right? And then you also have all his throw grenade would be clearly a thing an NPC could do, or whatever. I hope the combat is as fluid as Mass Effect was.
Yeah, that is
That
my
would
my
be
only hope for that level of
that would
control,
be
especially on the
ideal.
ground.
Yeah, that would be ideal. Is that and let's be clear, they'd have to limit the number of NPCs you could take with. I don't think you could take like a
I
battalion
think
size
there
element,
definitely needs
500
to.
NPCs.
There will be limitations. So I'm gonna wrap this up, so that way we can call it a night, so I can go have dinner with my thoughts. And I'm gonna use the Galaxy as an example, because we use the Carrack, we use the Perseus, because the Galaxy is my new hospital ship now, and that's my thing. Hence the logo. But I'm going to use the Galaxy with the medical module, and so obviously I'm going to use NPCs in order to move medical supplies from the cargo area to restock the med beds. and I think they're going to be great for doing that. But I think that a good use for an NPC on a ship like that would be as your shuttle pilot. I've got my C8R parked in the butt of my my Galaxy. I'm never going to let them fly the Galaxy because hell no. But I think that you will have the ability to say, okay, here's a person in need of rescue, and I can send myself or another player down as the medic in the C8R, and I don't have to pilot the ship. I can do whatever it is I want. I can, okay, we'll be there. We got ETA 3 minutes. I'm going to go get a beer before we get into combat, and I have to rescue this person, because I'm totally going to do that inebriated. But there's
It's one beer.
I fly
beer.
better drunk than an NPC is ever going to fly. Can you imagine dying
Look,
in
if my medic is not under the influence of some kind of drug or stimulant or depressant, I don't want him working on me. I don't want him working on me. He's going to have steady hands.
The NPCs can already land dropships. They can land the Cutlass Red. They can fly those splines and everything. So all you have to do is tell it that the beacon is here, and on the new star map, you zoom into the planet. Okay, the beacon's here. Here's a flat spot that's 200 meters nearby. I want you to land me right there. And they can do that. What if
it's in a combat zone? What if it's in a combat zone?
Then I tell them move farther away. But this is just someone fell down.
You're going to want a real pilot. I hate to break it to you. You're going to want a real pilot for that. And I'm ready to volunteer. Don't be wrong.
Yeah, but say
I'll take down your C8R.
We've got
I love it.
It's the same scenario that Attira has. We've got a 6-person crew on the Galaxy, and I've got 2 other humans with me and 3 NPCs, and we have to go rescue. We've got an injured person down there who fell down, went boom. They were rappelling off a cliff or whatever, and so we need to go get them. Okay, well, we've got imagery that says, oh yeah, they've got a tier 1 injury and they're going to die in 5 minutes. Okay, we can get there in the C8R in 2 to 3, which gives me 1 to 2 minutes to get there to start treating them to extend that timer. I'll have another player ready at the med bed, ready in the med bay in order to receive the patient, get things ready. I'll have another person on the on the bridge, flying the ship, managing the ship, and then you've got an NPC running supplies around, and then an NPC maybe manning a turret. But if the NPCs can already fly a dropship down to the surface and follow those splines, all I have to do is tell them where to land, and then the NPCs can already land a ship in a hangar. All I have to do is be like, okay, we're on board, take me back to the hangar, and it's done. And so I have my EMT, my ambulance driver for my space ambulance, who's ready to go, and I don't have to take one of my players.
He's laughing because he sees me. I totally disagree.
There's such a conflict of
I'm with you on your NPC game, literally up until the pilot of your Pisces, man. And I'm
it's just
be like,
piloting a Pisces.
They
can already do that with a Cutlass.
I honestly think having an NPC running the med bay is potentially a better use of the NPC, because
I agree.
That's not a complex series of things, right?
We're gonna put a pin in that conversation.
It's not in Star Citizen. It's not in Star Citizen, and it's never going to be in Star Citizen.
We will talk about that another time.
And you'll feel better if you just go ahead and bite down on that bullet right now.
What's never in Star Citizen?
He's talking about medical gameplay, and I haven't explained what I think medical gaplay is going to be like with the different tiers of beds.
Buddy, I'm so sorry. All right.
It's like me and EW. It's you and medical.
I know, and that's why I'm like,
it's the frame of reference. And once I explain it to you, you'll be like, "Oh, that makes sense. That's total easy gamification. It's not a big deal, because all it is mining, but with a med bed, and keeping moving things up and down in order to keep get person from red, and try and get them as close to green as possible to get the good payout." Or to, and that's just with treating them, not with healing them entirely, but you can use it for healing as well. But it's
so you want to trust an NPC to pilot the ship rather than to maintain,
because the NPCs already
given
do
amount
that.
of medication within a. Do they really though?
But
it's already in game right now.
An NPC's reaction time to controlling the power output of mining. Like their reaction time would be far faster than a person's.
But I
Right.
don't trust an NPC to know, okay, they have this injury, and this injury. You
There's
need
a
to
bunch
give
of
this
variables in a
medication, this
combat zone, though.
medication, this medication, and you need to give them in these increments and adjust them on the fly in order to keep the person in the green or in the yellow, or keep the timer from going down. Because that's
What
all.
you want
That's
is
all.
you want a human player for both, and I'm with you. I don't think
Ideally, yes, but that's not the
Yeah,
situation. Yeah. If I
I
have to
just
give
don't
the
see putting a
NPC the lowest, the lowest responsibility in this situation, do I want the NPC flying my galaxy? Absolutely not. Do I want my NPC managing the
that.
tier 1 medbed when I drop off the injured person in there who I've been trying to keep alive with the tier 3 medbed? Absolutely
I,
not.
I hate to
So
say this, but honestly, I think you might be backwards depending on what that galaxy is doing. If the galaxy is just holding a position and ready to accept medical because it's well in the safe zone, then I put my NPC pilot in the pilot chair of the galaxy in that moment. And instead, I put a human pilot, maybe my normal pilot of the galaxy, in the C8R.
okay. Yeah.
Possible,
I mean,
yeah.
if you're
he's
just
station
holding
keeping,
orbit,
Yeah, if you're
but
just
that's
yeah, if
or
you're just
maybe
holding
you
orbit,
don't need
man.
a pilot at all
but
because you're in a
I'm
safe
saying
zone.
not just the pilot. He's the one up into the captain's chair. He can take over piloting. He's managing the ship. Watching. Making sure we don't get ambushed. He's in charge for now.
But you can do that as captain
Yeah.
to a
Yeah,
large
but
degree.
he wants to be the medic.
I don't want to
He's
be
too
the
busy
captain.
drinking. No, he wants to be drinking. That's what he
Yes.
stated earlier. He's like, I want to be drinking beer and
I want to be
chilling
drinking
while
beer
things are on
and
autopilot.
While trying to
injecting
save my
injecting
life
things into.
after a
Yes.
bunker run that went wrong.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I hear. I'm gonna get
You can
a
do it.
drunk medical aid.
You can do it. Look
I
at
got
you.
I got crayons to
Yay!
eat and beer to drink. That's what he's thinking. All
The
right.
tree is totally distracted now by babies.
Yeah, it happens.
He just took a couple steps over to me, because mommy brought him upstairs. Look, Booney, those my friends. Yeah, we're
Aw.
hanging out. We're talking spaceships. You're getting ready for nighttime, aren't you? Yeah.
Those submarines on your jammies?
There are submarines and ski-doos, and it's a weird combination of things on the James. Yeah. There's a
As
pickup
with
truck
just about
and like a.
as with just about all baby clothes, they're just
Yeah.
very strange.
Well, and he has like 3 different types of space jammies too, with like planets and stuff. But
I support the submarines on the jammies. I'm just saying.
Booney's off to bed. You be good.
You got to get them some
Go right
tank
to sleep.
jammies though.
Mwah. Right.
You know, I don't. Those are going to be
Good
pretty
night.
niche. Good luck finding those. Don't get me wrong; those are obviously not warship submarines. Just
No,
the
that's
principle
an
of it.
orange submarine, kind of like a yellow submarine, but orange.
Yeah,
It's
I
one
mean,
of
as
those
far as
Jacques
niche
Cousteau's
things for
submarine.
yeah, as far
I'm
as
down
niche
with it,
things for
though.
a baby, he has 3 stuffy toys. One is a smoke grenade, one is a frag grenade, and one is an anti-tank mine, and they all squeak.
Yes.
So you can lay your head down
Yes.
on the anti-tank mine, and it squeaks. So,
Ah.
but yeah, that's
I have
my
a
thought.
I have a war story about an anti-vehicle mine that maybe
Oh,
I'll tell
gosh.
another time. That let's just
Put a
say it was a
pin in.
very close call.
Oh, yeesh. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've got a
I
number
have
of
all
those
kinds
too.
of couple cool stories about minefields and walking through them.
Yep.
One of these days, by the way, Tree, we're going to have to do just like a military story episode where we very loosely tie it to Star Citizen.
We will get a lot more booze involved.
Yeah.
It'll
A
be
lot
fun.
of booze and
Yeah.
hopefully no tears from PTSD. Fun.
Yeah. It'll be
No,
fun.
no, only funny stories. Only cool and funny stories.
Only
I've got
cool
rules.
stories.
Yeah.
All of
Yes,
mine
they're
are
all
from
cool with enough
Thailand.
alcohol.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, the public's not ready for that.
Yep.
The public's well, maybe.
But those are our thoughts on NPC crew, asset or liability, and the pros and cons of ship modularity. If you're still hanging out with us in chat, or if you're watching this on YouTube later, I'm going to speak for all of us when I say thank you so much for joining us, hanging out with us live, and coming and watching us on YouTube later. Go watch both of these guys. Go watch their stuff. Give them a follow or a like and subscribe. Yeah. And join me in my Discord so you can hang out with us. If you have questions or you want, you have suggestions, things that you would like to see us talk about, hop in the Discord or leave a comment in the comments in order to let us know. We really appreciate it. And but yeah, that's it. That's all we have for tonight, guys. Thanks for joining me again. There will not be another AA&G episode in December, just due to scheduling and the holidays. We will, just like CIG, we'll be back in January. So
Absolutely.
you will see us then, but you can always interact with us in the Discord and in the comments. We read all the comments. We reply to pretty much every single one of them. We really enjoy the engagement. So come hang out with us. Come chat with us. We always look forward to it. And if you are watching this live and you didn't get to catch the whole thing, it will be up on my YouTube next week. I'm just trying to feed the algorithm between this and Pathfinders before I go on vacation. So it will be up eventually. So if you follow and get the notifications, you'll see it then. So thanks again, guys. If you want to say goodnight, say goodbye, whatever your little catchphrase is, drop some truth nukes, do what you want to do.
Stay classy, San Diego. No, I got nothing. I don't have a good. I'll steal from Ron Burgundy whenever I get a chance. We're gonna raid, right? Gonna raid.
Oh yeah,
gonna raid the guy that brought us all together.
Yes.
I feel like we gotta plug him a little bit, man, because he is
go check
the
out Paul.
epicenter. Yeah, he's the epicenter of Star Citizen content creators, and I feel like he deserves that kind of recognition. Because essentially, we all got together because of being on his show at one point in time.
Yeah.
He is the impetus for all of this, pretty much.
Did you say he was impotent? What?
Impetus.
Nice, man.
See, this is what NCOs you're getting. Come on, English, man.
All right.
You got to learn to communicate to senior leaders who make decisions. You got to use words.
Yeah. I'm sorry. This is like my job. I'm just gonna try and frazzle a senior officer just about any chance I get.
Impotent. That's great. Oh well,
we are set up to raid. Officer. So thanks again, guys, and we're gonna go raid Paul because he's doing office hours right now. And
we're gonna be there. We're gonna be there too this weekend.
Oh yeah,
with Paul.
Yeah. Both of you guys are gonna be on office hours on Saturday. So if you want to hang out with Night Cobb and Attira some more, you'll see them on Saturday with Paul. I was on there last weekend with Astro Gemini.
Yeah.
And Nazareth will be on there on, I think it's the 10th. Yeah, I think it's the 10th. So here we go, raiding Paul. Okay, it says ready to
Ghost
raid
Dog.
in 7, 6, 5.
Ghost Dog showed up.
Everybody ready up. Everybody raid.
Yes, sweet girl. I know.
Have a good night, chat. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Now. And now I have to turn off the stream.